The moving truck pulled up on a quiet Tuesday morning in Maplewood, a suburban neighborhood just outside Denver, Colorado. A place where early retirement and work-from-home setups meant neighbors noticed everything. Before the liftgate even touched the driveway, someone was already watching from across the street. Madeline Hayes, 43, stood next to her dark blue Jeep, clipboard in hand, directing the movers with quiet efficiency. Tall with an air of confidence, she moved with the ease of someone who didn't waste energy on unnecessary pleasantries. Dressed in jeans, work boots, and a long-sleeved flannel shirt, she didn't care about fashion. This was her fresh start. The house, a two-story colonial with a slate roof and pristine landscaping, signaled success. And she had earned it, just not in the way her new neighbors assumed. The first visitor was a tall man in a golf cap and khaki shorts. He introduced himself as Richard Vance, head of the Maplewood Homeowners Association. His handshake was brief and cold, his eyes scanning the security camera boxes stacked by the door. "Moving in alone?" he asked. "Not everyone's here yet," Madeline replied smoothly. "Well, if you need anything, we keep things orderly around here," Richard said, barely waiting for a response before retreating behind his meticulously trimmed hedges. By sundown, Madeline had unpacked just enough to make the place livable. Her office was set up, blinds installed, kitchen stocked. No music, no guests, just her, a few potted plants on the porch, and a single folding chair. The next morning, she found a typed note slipped under her doormat. Reminder: all porch decor must meet HOA regulations. Flags, religious items, and political messages are prohibited. No name. No signature. Just that. Madeline chuckled. The only thing on her porch was a ceramic sun her niece had made in art class, hanging slightly crooked by the door. That afternoon, while adjusting her mailbox, after an HOA notice claimed it was non-uniform, she spotted a woman in yoga pants walking her dog. The woman paused, letting her dog sniff the grass, her gaze lingering on Madeline just a little too long. "New here?" the woman finally asked. "Looks like it," Madeline replied, standing upright. The woman gave a tight smile. "The HOA is very specific. Keeps things looking nice." "I read the handbook," Madeline said. The woman chuckled, but there was no humor in it. "Good. We like our neighborhood a certain way." Madeline understood the message. What they didn't know, what none of them could have guessed, was that she wasn't just another new resident trying to blend in. She had read classified intelligence reports that could make a senator sweat. She had navigated foreign negotiations, cyber espionage, and military strategy in places she couldn't even disclose. A suburban HOA wasn't going to intimidate her. Still, something felt off. She had lived in many cities, but this welcome was different. Smiles without warmth. Conversations laced with unspoken surveillance. So she set up her own cameras, not because she was paranoid, but because she was prepared. One above the door, one at the side entrance, and two angled at the front yard's blind spots. That night, she stood on her porch, glass of water in hand, watching the streetlights flicker. A car passed slowly in front of her house, then sped up once it cleared her driveway. She wasn't worried, but she wasn't settled either. She sent a quick message from a burner phone to a contact saved as plumbing service. Settled in. Odd activity already noted. Logging first flags. Stand by. No response. She didn't need one. By the second week, the tension started growing legs. It began with a parking complaint, a printed notice taped to her mailbox. Driveway must be kept clear of oversized vehicles. Please use the garage for storage. Her Jeep was neatly parked, not blocking the sidewalk or touching the neighbor's lawn. She threw the note in the recycling bin. The next morning, a man she hadn't seen before stood at the edge of her lawn, arms crossed, watching her as she watered the succulents by her bay window. "Morning," she called out. He didn't reply, just stared for a moment too long, then walked away. That night, another note appeared, this time in all caps. "No unauthorized vehicles. Surveillance is active. HOA monitors street traffic." The irony made her laugh. Days later, the police arrived at her doorstep. "Ma'am, we received a call about a disturbance, reports of loud arguing." I live alone, she replied, blinking.
No guests.
You're welcome to check. They didn't, but they took notes and left. 15 minutes later, Richard Vance was outside again, standing near his mailbox, talking to the woman in yoga pants. Both glanced in her direction. Madeline stepped onto her porch, making it clear she saw them. Everything okay over there? Richard called out. Just fine, she said. Good. You know, the police tend to come around when things don't line up with the rules. Noise violations, improper property use. I pay the same dues as everyone else, she said calmly. His eyebrows lifted, like it was a challenge. Then he walked away. Later that week, her trash pickup was skipped, while every other house's bins were emptied. When she called sanitation services, they had no record of a missed pickup request. Actually, your house was marked as vacant, the woman on the phone said. Madeline exhaled. I live here. That night, her backyard gate was found ajar, not open, just enough to suggest someone had tested the lock. The chain had a fresh scuff, like it had been tugged. Enough. She unlocked a drawer in her home office, pulled out an encrypted tablet, and initiated a low-level alert. Possible harassment escalation. Passive monitoring engaged. Requesting asset reassignment. Seconds later, a response. Permission granted.
Detail reassigned.
The next morning, Olivia McCall, an unassuming retiree who lived 2 doors down, knocked on her door with a basket of muffins and a knowing smile. Figured you might like some company, Olivia said. Madeline let her in. I'm guessing this isn't just a social visit. Olivia smirked. I rerouted 2 surveillance drones from your property last night. The HOA isn't your only problem. Before Madeline could respond, a knock came at the door. Not Olivia. 2 men in khakis and polo shirts stood on her porch. Their laminated badges looked like they'd been printed in someone's basement. Miss Hayes? We're with the Maplewood HOA Enforcement Committee. We need to discuss some violations. Madeline leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. You don't scan in the directory. HOA doesn't do unannounced in-person visits. The man with the clipboard smiled. We're just trying to help you avoid fines. This could escalate. She nodded. I doubt that. The men exchanged a glance, then moved. One reached for her arm. Big mistake. Before he made contact, Olivia was on her feet, moving with the precision of someone who hadn't spent her life gardening. Her phone was already in hand, sending a coded signal. Moments later, 2 unmarked black SUVs rolled onto the street. The neighborhood had picked the wrong target.